Hello, this is Starshot here to welcome you back to my Let's Play of Ys Origin. We last left off kind of running around exploring new areas to this dungeon after getting the Amber Key and releasing our friend. And then after doing all that exploring, we found the medallion that led us to the boss store here, so we can use that to open it. But I did a quick, pre-check battle just to kind of see what I was dealing with. And sadly, I was having a lot of trouble fighting it and beating it. So I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit of grinding. Try and level up a little from being 31 to maybe 32 or 33. And see how much that helps. So let's go ahead and get started. It's something I don't do all the time, but like there are some boss battles that are a bit difficult to do, and it's good to kind of know what you're dealing with beforehand. Because as you've seen, I've had some trouble with bosses before, and it helps to kind of get an idea of how to fight them before you kind of go ahead and, take them on. And it gives us a chance to get some more SP and try and use that. So that's what I'm hoping to do, and of course I wouldn't be doing this unless I felt like I needed to, or if the boss I was dealing with was giving me a lot more trouble than I would have liked. So, but you'll see kind of what I'm talking about when we face him. But I don't think it should take me too much longer to grind out the levels here. As long as I can face plenty of monsters around here while getting a little bit buffed and making sure I get the 8 XP buff here. Okay, that looks like that's about it for this place. As you can see, these guys aren't too bad so far at my current level, but I'm still gaining some decent XP, so it just means, I can improve a little bit. That's always kind of what I've talked about before, is trying to play, or like that grinding itself isn't a chore, but just something you can do and a little bit here, and oh, darn it. I keep getting hit by the darn spikes. There we go. So, but it looks like maybe the area up ahead here is probably a lot better in terms of trying to grind some XP out with all these different enemies around. And these bug guys are pretty annoying, so it's a good thing to keep the whirlwind around to try and help with that. Now, you would think getting my weapon to level 5 here, as well as my equipment and all that, would have been enough, but sadly it wasn't. Come on. Yeah, it looks like you can't really get rid of them unless you use the whirlwind move or some other magic. There we go. Kind of weird, just kind of how they fight the dragonfly monsters here, but I guess they need to make sure they have some variety here and there. And they, of course, try to give some variety as well. You know, this is definitely, like, when it comes to the Ys games, like, when a franchise is around long enough, you really do start comparing others in the franchise to themselves instead of trying to compare them to other games. Because they get to a point in their quality or their history that it's hard to compare them to anything else. Because the only similarities you have to compare certain games to each other is with other games in that franchise. Just like a lot how the Zelda franchise is very much compared to only entries in itself and not like being compared to, you know, other games before it. So I very, and like, even though the series itself has quite a few entries, they do differ quite a bit from each other to warrant such a distinction of being, you know, only compared to other games in its series. Because, at least to me, I feel that's how good the franchise is itself. Is that, you know, it deserves to only be compared to others in its series, and Falcom themselves have had a very good track record of trying to keep their games consistently good. Like, they can have a few issues with a Ys game here and there or so forth, but there's always a level of quality to it that they always reach that you never really see any games below a 7, you know, for some people, which I think that's pretty amazing considering. Like, when you think of the Final Fantasy series, for example, they, you know, like, pretty much once you got, you know, they've had some bad ones here and there that people didn't really care for or like that much. Like, if you look at Final Fantasy X, Final Fantasy VIII, Final Fantasy 13 is the biggest one right now for everyone's disdain or never liked anything about it. Sadly, I'm one of the few outliers, but only for maybe a few of them. Like, I didn't care for the first one as much, but I really did enjoy the third one, really. For kind of what it was doing, even if it was a bit weird in some cases, but when it comes to some games, a little weirdness never hurt. Just look at Mario. Whoever thought that people would enjoy so much exploring a strange world as a plumber? Come on, big bug man, or bug creature. There we go. So, as you can see, I should be able to get to one more level, and then we'll try and take on the boss here. So, you know, just a few more times here, but as I was saying, and then the Zelda series, like Zelda 2 is probably the biggest one a lot of people don't like, but I was never that fond of the very first Zelda either. But then again, I haven't really tried 2 that much, so it's definitely one of those games I should, you know, give a try and see if it's as bad as everyone says it is, or, you know, or if I find something I enjoy about it. So, let's see. Almost there with the levels here. There we go. And I'm making pretty decent progress with my SP as well. As I said, I figured I would save it up until I can afford to get the last upgrade, which is the most expensive. But yeah, so I guess when it comes to the Ys games, I guess my least favorite would probably have to be the very first one, Ys 1. And the only reason because of that is because in the very beginning, or the combat itself is very simple. Like, you just sort of bump into enemies, and you sort of, like, no matter what you do, you'll take damage. So, like, it's really hard to avoid damage while also giving damage. You know, because of how the just because you're supposed to kind of bump into them, you don't slash them like you would traditionally do, like what I'm doing right now. There we go. Finally got to my level. So I think that should be all I really need. And so we'll kind of see how things go here, but before I start, let's see. Okay, so I don't think I need any specific item I need to equip. I pretty much have my gear as I need it, and I have the dragon claws, which would help on slippery ground, but I guess that doesn't really require that much. Oh, and I have actually wind maxed out here. Well, yeah, let's go ahead and try and take this boss on and see if we can beat it with our current new level that we've attained here. I think getting 2 more levels should definitely make a huge difference. But yeah, as you can see, we're now facing a giant plant monster. And the only way we can beat him is by taking care of these things here. And as you see, he kind of, like, those little things apparently, like, produce the energy they need to, and then he does that. There we go. So, but as you can see, those things are pretty annoying to deal with. Yeah, and after a while, they kind of, you know, you really do have to take care of them right away, and, you know, try and do as much damage as you can. And that, I think it really does help to utilize the Phoenix move here, which, you know, covers the area. Darn it. Well, I definitely did a much better job, but than when I initially tried. It also helps that, you know, if you can get them at a certain angle here, especially if you make sure that you target him too. And then, of course, if there's just one of them here, then you can just try and focus doing it like that. we go. But yeah, definitely the extra damage and then using the fire move here is definitely a lot better than what I was doing before. And then of course just angling it just right should help as well. There we go, finally. Phew. And that's how you beat the creeper. Or at least I'm calling him that because that's what I had to use to get here. And here I thought that would take longer, but definitely the, wide area that the Phoenix Flame covers as well as the extra levels definitely made a lot of difference compared to what it was like before. Oh, apparently someone is calling to us. It's a young man. Oh look, the entire Knight Brigade is here and they couldn't help me with the boss battle apparently. Yeah, you just passed through where I was fighting a giant boss I probably could have used your help with. Seriously, you don't notice the giant monster? Or what am I saying? The giant monster always disappears, so they never know it existed after I defeat it. Well, how long have you been searching since we just, found out that... Or since we just freed the other one, Fina. So, I'm not really sure we should have found out too much just yet. Yeah, well, I think she's been taking care of most of it, so... Yeah, you're just gonna jinx us, Cilia. Or Cecile. Cilia. Eh. Well, that's probably new. I wonder if they heard about that yet. Good for you, Galleon. You're taking charge and getting people to go. As you just walked right past me. Well, you are fighting hordes and hordes of monsters, so you would hope you would gain some confidence, right? Yeah, I don't think that's ever gonna happen, at least not as long as Unica's the protagonist. So, but here we are in the Bited Blood, and here's a save point, which we are always happy to find. So, sadly, that's all the time we have for today, so join us next time as we continue our trek through the tower and hopefully finding Leia Rhea eventually. So, until next time, have fun gaming.